Hello, bookworms. I'm Becca. Welcome back to my channel. It's been a while. I really haven't been making a whole lot of content lately. This past school year was an absolute whirlwind and it took it all out of me. But I finally feel like I'm in a headspace where I want to get back to making content. And so I thought I would do a book haul of all of the books that I bought recently, especially this past month, because I've been going around to different indie shops in my state and I just have acquired a lot of books. You might notice that my setup is a little bit different and just my whole filming situation is a little bit different. I just want to try something new that makes recording and content creation feel like less of a production and more of something that I can just sit down and do. Because that honestly is what makes streaming so appealing to me. I just like being able to sit down no matter where I'm at in the day and make content. So I'm hoping that a more minimal kind of setup and situation helps take some of the pressure off for me and makes content creation feel like less of a production and more like something I could just do at any time. And hopefully that will make it easier for my brain. We'll see. Okay, so let's get into all of the books that I have bought recently. Starting out, we have Melissa by Alex Gino. This is a middle grade book. It was previously published as George, and it is the story of a trans girl in like the 5th or 6th grade-ish who really wants to be the lead in the class's play of Charlotte's Web, but her teacher says no because she doesn't look like a girl. The only reason that I got this is because they changed the title to match Melissa's chosen name rather than her dead name, and I've not seen it in a bound copy yet, but I found it in an indie shop, so I wanted to pick it up so that I could swap out my copy that says George. Next, I have The Gifts That Bind Us by Caroline O'Donoghue. This is a sequel to All Our Hidden Gifts, which I haven't read yet, but somehow I ended up accidentally buying like 2 or 3 copies of a few years ago, or like over the course of a few years, because I kept thinking that I was buying the sequel, but really I was buying the first book over and over again. So I saw this one and I was like, I know for a fact this is not the first one and is in fact the sequel, hopefully. So I decided to pick it up and add it to my collection for when I finally get around to reading the first one. Next, I grabbed How to Be a Good Creature by Cy Montgomery, illustrated by Rebecca Green. It's a memoir told in 13 animals, and it uses different animals to talk about how to be a good creature, essentially, like how to be a good person and what we can learn from these different animals and what the author has learned from these different animals. So I thought that this would be really short and sweet. I have been getting a little bit more into memoirs and I love anything that is nature related. So I picked this one up. I know it's going to be good, and I'm probably going to end up lending it to one of my coworkers because it made me think of her and I feel like she would really enjoy it too. Then I picked up Julia and the Shark by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. This is a middle grade book about a 10-year-old named Julia who loves the mysteries of the ocean. Her mother is a scientist and they're spending the summer on an island where her mother is looking for an elusive shark, but her mother is getting more and more discouraged, and so Julia takes it upon herself to go out on a solo expedition to try to find this shark, which doesn't sound smart at all, but she ends up learning a lot about herself at 10 years old, I guess. I love sharks, so I thought I would give this one a try. It reminds me of The Thing About Jellyfish and The Mighty Heart of Sunny St. James. and all of the other middle grade books about summer and animals and the ocean. So I feel like I am gonna enjoy this one. I got this absolutely stunning edition of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. It is a Puffin Classics edition. It has a beautiful spine. There's some just really like a vintage, there's some vintage imagery on it and foiling. I have never ever read Pride and Prejudice. This is my second copy that I own now, and the first one is really beautiful too. It's like a periwinkle color, and it's really floppy, and it has like a faux leather cover, but this one is a little bit smaller and more compact, so I feel like it's something that I can easily hold and carry around with me, and it's gorgeous, which is honestly the only way that I'm ever going to read classics is if they have a beautiful cover. I am just not a classics girly, but I want to be. I'm trying to be. I hope to be someday. Next, I picked up The Magic of Lemon Drop Pie by Rachel Linden. I feel like I saw a little bit about this book when it first came out, but then I saw it in a shop. Well, actually, Josh saw it in a shop, and I remembered it, and then after reading the synopsis, I was like, yeah, I think I would enjoy this. This one is about a woman named Lolly who abandoned all of her dreams and broke up with her first love after her mother died so that she could take over her family's struggling Seattle diner. And now, a decade later, she's still whipping up the best lemon meringue pies while pining for everything that she's lost. But as her 33rd birthday approaches, her great aunt gives her a mysterious gift, 3 lemon drops, each of which allow her to live a single day in a life that might have been hers. I've been reading a lot of similar books like this lately. I really enjoyed What You Were Looking For Is in the Library, which kind of has a similar vibe. This month I read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which I don't know, I just feel like all of these have kind of similar vibes to them, and I'm really enjoying that trope of what if XYZ had happened. Then I picked up The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. I have been seeing this one everywhere lately, especially all over Book Talk, and so Josh actually picked this one out for me too, and I was like, yes, absolutely. It has beautiful lavender sprayed edges. I don't know that much about it, but I think that it's a cozy, like fantasy romance that kind of gives me Legends and Lattes vibes, but I think it has something, well, obviously it has something to do with the spell shop, but I do think that it has something to do with like a bookshop too. I'm not quite sure, but I'm excited for it. It's definitely getting into that cozier season. It's August now, so who knows? Maybe I'll pick this one up this month. Then, while we were on vacation, we went into a little indie shop, and I found My Neighbor Totoro, the novel, and it has beautiful library binding. I have Howl's Moving Castle. I have Kiki's Delivery Service. I needed My Neighbor Totoro. I've just been wondering if more of them are books. Turns out they are. It's much thicker than I thought it was going to be. It's so beautiful, and it's illustrated because it's a middle grade, but it just looks really vintagey. I don't think that this particular like print of it is, but it has that feel, you know? It has beautiful acorns on the back and a little illustration. I'm so excited to read the book of it. I recently watched My Neighbor Totoro for the first time and absolutely adored it so much. Now I need to read it. Also, I read Kiki's Delivery Service, and I've never seen the movie, so I need to see the movie of that one too. I also grabbed Final Girls Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I love Grady Hendrix. I read and loved Horror Store. I recently read My Best Friend's Exorcism and loved it so much, and I've just been telling everyone about Grady Hendrix because I feel like he is slept on, And this was one that I think about all the time. So there is a new bookshop near me, actually, and they had this one on the shelves. I was so delighted. But this is basically like the trope of the final girl from horror movies, specifically from slasher films, and they're all in a support group together, but then they start getting picked off one by one. So the trope is coming to fruition. The one thing that I love about Grady Hendrix is how campy he is all the time. Horror Store literally is bound to look like an IKEA catalog, and it takes place in an IKEA inspired store. And My Best Friend's Exorcism is bound to look like an 80s VHS tape, and every chapter is named off of a popular song from the 80s. He's so good. But it still has like really good horror in it, along with the story. So if you are kind of new to horror and you want something a little bit lighter but still horror but still has like a really good plot to it, check out Grady Hendrix. I cannot recommend him enough. Another pick by Josh is Orphea and Eurydice by Elise John. I love Greek retellings so much. I really don't know what this one is about. I don't know much of the Greek myths, actually, but I really enjoyed them. I took a class in high school on Greek mythology. Actually, it was my English class for a couple years, was focused on Greek mythology. But I don't remember like a whole lot about the stories. And this past year, I started getting more into Percy Jackson. Obviously, Song of Achilles and Circe are some of my favorites. And so now, like, anytime I see a retelling, I just have to pick it up. And this was not any different. Also on vacation, I grabbed The Quarry by Marwyn Luna and Mike Salisbury. And the reason I got this is because it's a Michigan author, and it takes place in northern Michigan during the winter time. Very short. I don't think that it's going to be anything like super duper special, but I just can never pass up finding a local author or a book that is set in my home state of Michigan. Plus, I love a graphic novel, so I am excited to add this one to my collection. I also snagged Out There Screaming, and it is an anthology of new black horror that is edited by Jordan Peele. It's gonna be so good. It's just a bunch of short stories by black authors. What's not to love? It's going to be amazing and perfect for spooky season. I love Jordan Peele. So as soon as I saw this, I was like, yeah, I need it. And I saw it at an indie shop, and then I saw it again at a book fair that we went to, and that's where I got it. Because when you keep seeing the same book over and over again, that's the sign from the universe to buy it. Duh. I also grabbed The Age of Magical Overthinking by Amanda Montell. It says Notes on Modern Irrationality. I recently read Cultish by the same author. That one is a nonfiction that is about language of fanaticism and how it kind of affects our day-to-day life and has kind of infiltrated our lives, I guess. It doesn't just have to be cult groups anymore. Now, especially that we have social media, like more and more groups are having cult followings, and the language is eerily similar. And so it was kind of talking about like why people are so affected by fanatic language, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm really excited for this one. This is her newest book, and I cannot wait to pick it up and share my thoughts with all of you. If you want to hear more about my thoughts on Cultish, I would be happy to do a book review. I just cannot shut up about it, so I would love to talk more about it. I also grabbed Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This one takes place in a coffee shop that has the ability to transport you back in time to relive like a single day, but your visit lasts only as long as it takes for the cup of coffee to get cold. So it's another one of those premises like what if, and I need it. The next one I'm really excited about is The Gunkle by Stephen Rowley. This is about a guy named Patrick, or Gay Uncle Patrick, GUP for short, and he really enjoys visits from his niece and nephew. He ends up getting custody of them, and after the newness kind of starts wearing off, his eyes are opened and really trying to fill the parental void in his niece and nephew's life. And so he ends up learning, a lot about life. It seems like it's going to be really charming and heartwarming and really funny, and I'm excited for it. This might be a good end of summer read, so it's now or never with this one, I think. The next book I picked out, Josh actually picked out for me, and I was really excited to find it for a few different reasons. It's called I, Miha, and it's by Christine Suggs, and it's a memoir of a few of their summers during their teenage years when they would go to Mexico and spend the summer with their family. But the graphic novel only takes place over one summer, and it's one summer when they're around 16 years old, and they decide maybe this summer will be the summer that they actually learn Spanish. You can kind of see their self-consciousness because they don't feel white enough, they don't feel Mexican enough, they are not very secure in their body, they're kind of grappling with their sexuality. There's a whole lot of things going on at 16 years old, and so then to be thrown into the situation that seemed to occur often over their upbringing, where they would go spend a few weeks in Mexico with their family, they weren't very confident in their Spanish speaking skills. And so it was a lot of wanting to communicate with their family and wanting to have that relationship, but not feeling like they ever fully developed it because they didn't understand what was going on around them. And I related to a big chunk of this because Josh is Hispanic and he's fluent in Spanish, and all of his family is in Texas. And the times when I've gone down there to meet and spend time with his family, I don't speak Spanish. And so I really did feel like a fish out of water, where all of these conversations would be going on around me. Josh didn't always want to be translating what was going on in the conversations, so it made me feel really self-conscious, and I already do a lot just in social situations in general because I'm hard of hearing. So then to throw in a whole different language with people that I'm meeting for the first time, it was really overwhelming. So there was surprisingly a lot to this graphic novel that I related to as well, which I was not expecting. And I really enjoyed hearing Christine's story over the course of the summer and wanting to learn more Spanish. And the way that was shown on the page is that their inner voice, kind of Lizzie McGuire style, was on the page, breaking down the different words and the different conjugations. So it was almost like you as the reader were learning some pieces of Spanish along with Christine, or brushing up on Spanish along with Christine. And I found that part really interesting. I'm glad that I gave this one a read. I read it in one sitting, as I often do with graphic novels, and I think that I gave it 4 or 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed this one. Next, I grabbed Camp Damascus by Chuck Tingle. I've been seeing this one a little bit on Book Talk, but it also was recommended to me by a couple of my friends, so I thought that I would pick it up. I don't know much about it. I know that it's an adult horror. It takes place at a gay conversion camp where shit kind of just hits the wall. And I am really interested to read this one. I kind of want to save it for October though, more of a spookier season, but I think that it's going to be a good time. All of the blurbs on the back say genuinely terrifying. we love to see it. And the last one, I can't believe that we've reached the end already. I don't want it to end. That just means I need to get more books, right? Right. Anyway, I grabbed Never Whistle at Night, an Indigenous dark fiction anthology, edited by Shane Hawk and Theodore C. Van Elst Jr. I saw this one on Book Talk as well, just in a quick recommendations video, and my jaw dropped. So I actually ended up seeing this at the book fair that I got the Jordan Peele book at, and I could not believe that I was seeing it. I did not know if I would ever see this anywhere. It just feels like one of those kinds of books, you know, where it's a little bit more rare to find out in the wild. So I'm glad that I found it. It's another short story anthology that is Indigenous short stories. And I'm excited about it because I love that sort of thing. So this is another one that I really want to save for October specifically, but just to know that every time I look at it on my shelf, I'm chomping at the bit. Like I'm foaming at the mouth over reading this one. I want to read it bad, really bad. So October needs to get here, you know? But there you have it. Those are all of the books that I have acquired recently. That was a lot, but I'm happy about all of them, and I'm excited to add all of them to my collection and then talk more about them in the future. If you like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below for more bookish videos whenever I ding feel like it. But that's it. That's all for now. I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.